Right. I swear the presenter in my hand was just in a moment working. Okay, anyway. So my name is Tomasz Poszytek. I'm from Warsaw in Poland. I am a proud owner of the Business Applications MVP Award. And I must say that I'm working with not only business processes, but I mean, not only with Power Platform, but the idea about around the workflows and the business processes for whoa, over 10 years right now. So like I started with SharePoint 2007 and SharePoint Designer. And then I somehow switched into other vendors like Webcon or Nintex. I also tried a little bit of K2. Now, hopefully today, K2 and Nintex is the same thing. But nevertheless, once Power Platform started to appear, went out from this private preview into the preview, and Power Automate, back then Flow, was available, I started to adopt it. It was a very fast journey. And for over 4 years, I'm really working with Power Platform nearly every day. I somehow stopped working with on-premises SharePoints and environments. The only time I'm somehow seeing on-premises environments is only because customer is migrating to online. But I don't know if what is your experience, but I think like on-premises is really getting deprecated and it's just getting to be like a very small piece of the cake. So if you'd like to connect with me, there is just one URL to rule them all. So if you go to aka.ms/Poszytek, so this URL here, and you can find there all the hyperlinks to YouTube, to Twitter, to LinkedIn, even my email. So I highly encourage you to especially subscribe to my YouTube channel because there is a lot of informational content and a lot of awesome tutorials. And Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever. You can also scan this QR code to open this URL as well. All right, so let me go briefly through what the Dataverse is. But before I do this intro, before I really go into, I just wanted to put us together on the same site so that we do use the same naming convention. So together with what was announced during Ignite, apart from the new Dataverse that became that was changed from Common Data Service, also the Oakdale, which was with us for some time, was turned into the Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. But that was not the end of the changes. So the entity was renamed to table, the field was renamed to column, and the record was renamed to row. So right now, when you see the documentation, when you use Power Automate and you want to query and you want to use Dataverse actions, or if you go into documentation, don't get confused because everywhere there you will see, or hopefully you will see right now these changed names. So don't try to, I mean, you can try to compare them, or if you do find somewhere still the entity field or record, you can report them as issues or try to fix them yourself. Nevertheless, we are now using this nomenclature that is more related to relational databases. And so Microsoft Dataverse for Teams is just another way where the seasoned developers are able to create applications using this Power Platform as a platform, as a fundament. So the Dataverse for Teams is not only a database. This is this subset of the capabilities we have in this standalone Power Platform. So we do have Power Apps, we do have Power Virtual Agents, we do have Power Automate. We have also a database, a Dataverse that we can use to actually store data in it. And also a lot of governance around it. Now, what is also important is that the Dataverse, not only this for Teams, but most importantly, the regular one, is already available in Power BI as one of the data sources. So even with Dataverse for Teams, we can use that data that we gather, that we collect from users as the set to create visualizations and the dashboards. Yeah, that was the word. All right. And also what is important with Dataverse is that once we create a solution, once we create our application, we can actually export it and then import it into our Teams admin center. And then actually any user in our tenant would be able to go into apps and then search for apps built for our organization and then install this application with a single click. So either we use an application that is created by our IT, by our vendor, or if we download application from Microsoft, because Microsoft is also creating some applications built on Dataverse, we can actually just import it, install in our team, in our team's admin, and then use it. Now, around the governance and security, what is important is that this platform, this set of applications is actually following the security rules that are present for Microsoft Teams team. So by default, when you create an application Microsoft team, inside the team in Microsoft Teams, then an access to this application only is granted to members of that team and obviously owners. Then member can as well be the guest account, right? However, when you want to make this application even more secure, or you want to have a more granular access to data, you can as well go into Dataverse tables, and then for each table define how specific roles in that team can work with that data. So like what data they should see, what data they should be able to modify, if they should be able to write or only read, and so on. So in here, we don't have these kind of security permissions as we do have in regular environments. So the productive test, sandbox, and so on. So you cannot go into Dynamics and create security roles and then grant these roles to users. Here in Dataverse for Teams, everyone is a maker. Like every member is a maker, so like everyone can create an application. However, the access to application is limited by the team and also by the permissions set on the data. So in few words, Microsoft Dataverse for Teams is just this function, or this platform that, again, democratizes the creation of applications, of solutions. So this is either for citizen developers or power users, so you can create apps only for yourself or apps for your team, but as well with this functionality that is given on the Microsoft Teams level, so that you can create a team, create an app and then share it with another team, or even export it and import it and publish it as a team, as an application for the whole tenant, for any user in Teams. And then there is also a platform used by central IT, by departments, and also by the vendors who can create solutions in their tenants and then export them and import into your tenant as a customer. So in the end, why I think that Microsoft Teams right now with Power Platform, with this Microsoft Dataverse, is becoming a new, or the new digital workplace in the companies, is that because it gives you this simplicity to create solutions. So users are not only then limited to work with, to use Teams as the collaboration platform where they can communicate, where they can chat, make video conferences, and they can like store files and use existing third-party tools, but they can as well create the tools they need to work more effectively, to collaborate more effectively, to make their work done faster. Thanks to this seamless deployment, we can actually not only work with third-party vendors, with the external vendors, but as well, use our own internal assets like IT department or our own citizen developers to create solutions that they can be then shared and used by the whole company. And lastly, it's really easy to manage. So there is a very clear security model. There is also a very clear approach to the usage. So you can simply work with this application in Teams Admin Center. You can enable it or block it from being used. So these three things, and most importantly, this flexibility on how every user can, again, work with these solutions, create their own solutions, and then the easiness to share these solutions across team and the whole teams, is the fact that I personally find as the most significant to name Teams with Dataverse as the digital workplace where anyone can really create any solutions. And now speaking about the pricing, about the licensing, it's kind of for free because you don't have to be granted additional licenses. So if you do have any actually license that contains Microsoft Teams an application, then you're ready to go and ready to use Dataverse for Teams. unless your admin blocked this application in Admin Center. So if Power Apps as an application isn't blocked, then you are able to use it. And also what is important is that this Dataverse for Teams is not available for government cloud and for education subscriptions, at least for A1, yeah. Edu1, whatever. There is some limitation around educational licenses and the government cloud, where the Dataverse for Teams is simply not working. Right. So let me just check if there are any questions. But I don't see any. So I will now jump on and start a demo. No questions, really? Everything is so clear. So it is either so clear and understandable, or you are lost because I was speaking too fast.
Everyone's here, no worries. Everyone's here listening for you. You know, we will make together a selfie, so no worries. I see more than 70 people are joining and listening attentively. So
more than 70.
Thanks, Tomasz. Yeah.
Okay, so to start working with Power Platform in data in Microsoft Teams, so to start using Dataverse for Teams, you have to go into Teams, obviously, and then you need to look for Power Apps. So the Power Apps application is this entry point, the gateway to start working with Dataverse. If you don't have it here present in the recent apps, then simply type in, Power App. sorry. And as said, if your admin hasn't disabled it, then it should appear. Then of course, the good practice is to pin it so that it won't go away once you navigate away from this application, so it will stay always with you. Now, one important thing around, just in a moment. So then once you go into Power Apps, you will see this landing page with information around the latest solutions created. And then by solutions, I mean the flows, the Power Apps, tables in Dataverse. And then you'll see here everything that you have an access to. So if you're a member of multiple teams, you'll obviously see these assets from all the teams that you have this access to. Now, right. Let me just refresh Teams. I hope this is just a temporary issue. It won't persist.
Demo gods are not kind to you.
I haven't sacrificed a lot of small animals today. So anyway, that's the landing page that you will see as you start. Now, if for some reason you're the first person in your organization to start using Dataverse, then obviously it will be totally empty. You'll have no recent apps. Even this square here, this rectangle here, won't be present. And then once you go into build, or if you go to see more, you will navigate to a page where you will see again a list of all teams that are already containing any solutions, like any kind of Power App, any kind of table in Dataverse, any kind of flows. Like if someone started doing anything there, then this team will appear here. And obviously, if you do have an access to that team. So again, if you're not a member, you won't see it here. And now, what is Dataverse for Teams? Actually, this is just an environment created for a specific team. So if I now navigate to Power Platform Admin Center, I can see that some of the environments are having this, or are created using this type Microsoft Teams. So apart from the productive one, the sandbox, the trial, you'll have the Microsoft Teams environments. And now, as said, they are much more simpler. You cannot, for example, go into Dynamics 365 to manage roles and then grant these roles to users. So they are a little bit simpler. However, you are able to upgrade from the Dataverse for Teams environment into a regular Dataverse environment if you're hitting some kind of limits, like the amount of data you want to store, because there is just like 2 GB of storage in Dataverse for Teams. If you exceed it, You cannot extend it. So if you want to have more, then you need to upgrade to the regular Dataverse. Or if you'd like to use the Power App that you created in Microsoft Teams as a standalone application, then again, you need to upgrade to Dataverse standalone version. Or if you'd like to have more governance, more security, more complex security options to choose from, then again, you need to upgrade to the regular version of Dataverse. And so once you navigate here, you're able actually to start. So you can start either from creating a new application or a new chatbot. Now, I don't actually know if there is any way to start creation from flow or from a table in Dataverse. That's something I haven't found yet. But nevertheless, if you start from the Power App, then obviously you will go as well into Dataverse, so you'll be able to create tables. So what I want to show you now is that I have now where should I start to be honest? Just give me a moment. I need to find the proper team. The general idea is that I want to create an application where you will be able to review all the submitted best practices ideas, and then the submission to these ideas is going to be done by a chatbot, so that users will simply chat with a bot and that way submit their ideas. I think this is the environment where I wanted to show you how it works. So there is like a pieces of this. Yeah, is it? Yes, so this is the environment. So I have a pieces of this solution present here. I have tables, however, I need to complete them because they don't contain all the columns. I have a flow which also requires a little bit of enhancements, and I will need to create an application because the one here is just old and I don't want to use it. So I'll start from the tables. The table best practices is going to be used to store these ideas submitted by users via the chatbot. And so once you go into the table in Dataverse for Teams, this first view that you see is very similar to what we know from the regular Dataverse. The difference is that you can actually go into edit data and then work with this edit data like you would with, for example, SharePoint lists. I'll just come back to this later in a moment, sorry. And that you have these managed permissions for the table that is not present in regular Dataverse. So here you can actually decide what kind of access should be granted or what kind of permissions should have the regular members, the guest members, and the members of the team with which your solution is shared. Now, what I want to do is again go to the edit data, and I need to create a couple of columns. So the first column I want to create is going to be the idea ID, and this is going to be an auto number that if you are ever working with MySQL or any other relational database, you can be familiar with an auto increment column so that it simply follows a pattern, and with every new record, it generates a new number. So I want to use the seed value of 1 and max length, I don't know, like just use it 10. And we'll do this ID with underscore or without because there is already a pattern here. And so every new record is going to have like ID 0001, then 0002, and so on and so on. So this is the first column I wanted to create. Now the second one is going to be the description. So a field where user is going to be able to input their value. I mean the description of the best practice. So there is not such a column like a long text or text area or multi-line text. You have to use text, but you're able to change this max length to like up to 4,000 characters as far as I remember. So we can use that one. Now the next column I want to use is going to be the status. Now the status is going to be an option, a kind of a choice. And then this is the type of a column that if you've ever seen screenshots from Dataverse for Teams or from Microsoft Lists, then this is the one that makes this whole screenshot very colorful and attractive. good looking. So with the choice column, you're not only able to create these choices. So just let me create this new approved and rejected. But you're as well able to choose these colors. So then if this status is going to be set to approved or rejected, then as well that cell is going to be filled up with that color. And then the last thing I want to use is to create a category, and this column is going to be a lookup to the table called categories. Now the categories table is actually storing information about the approvers who are going to be responsible for approving the newly submitted best practices. So now, if I go back to tables and just to show you what the categories are. So this is like a dictionary table which contains names of categories that users should be able to choose from, and as well the approvers. Well, there is just one approver in this company because it is a very small company. Nevertheless, once this best practice via the bot is submitted, then that person is going to be assigned a task to approve. All right, so that was the first thing. Now, the second thing I want to use is to go into Cloud Flows and actually create or complete this flow. Now, this flow is going to be called from Power Virtual Agents. And the reason this is going to be done by this way is that once user is asked to provide title, description, choose a category for the best practice they want to submit, then actually this submission and save it. I mean, yeah. The process of saving this data into Dataverse is going to be done by Flow because Power Virtual Agent as a technology has no features or directly built-in functionalities to manipulate and work on the data itself. So it requires either the sorry, how it's called, the bot skills or the Power Automate to extend its basic capabilities. So now to create a flow for Power Virtual Agents, it has to follow two actually feature requirements. So first, it has to be triggered by this Power Virtual Agents trigger, and also it must have an always reachable action that is the return value to Power Virtual Agents. Now, the reason why I use this parallel branch here is that because I wanted to respond to the user immediately after the submission is done. So not to force the user to wait in front of a chat for like, I don't know, a minute or minute and a half until this execution is completed. Now, what I have to do is to complete this flow. So first, I do have here a record, the action that is listing the records from the categories entity. And I'm using this filter, the OData filter, to get only that category or that record which has that category selected by the user as its name. So I will obviously get multiple rows. It will be returned as a table, but with only one record. And the second thing I want to do is to actually create a new record, so to save data from the user in my table. Now, what you can see is that these actions from, well, this is still called Common Data Service, but the name, the updates are rolling out, so soon it should be renamed into Dataverse. Nevertheless, what you can see here is that this connector, Common Data Service current environment, is not marked as premium. So this is one of these benefits of using Dataverse for Microsoft Teams, because we can actually work with this Dataverse, with those tables, with no additional cost. So what I have to do is to add new row into best practices, obviously. And then I will use information from a user. So I need to provide the name. I need to provide the description. The category. Sorry, not the category. This one will be set in a moment. And also the status is going to be set to new. All right. So with that, I have now created a new record. And then the next things that are going to happen is that the flow will get the user profile, get user's image. So the user who is requesting for the who is requesting to submit this new best practice. And now what I also have to do is to relate these records. So I need to create a relationship between the best practice and that category. So to do that, I need to first get the categories. And in here, I need to get the category ID. Yep, this one. And then in the relationship type, I can see that there is a relationship created between the best practices and the category. So I need to choose it. And lastly, the relate with, this is this OData ID. So I need to find the OData ID from @new_row. So this is the value I need to choose. So this action now is going to relate one row with another. So create a simple relationship. And the next thing that is going to happen is that this flow is going to submit this adaptive card to the user who is indicated as the approver. So what I have to do here is simply to update this created date. And I will set it to the date when the record was created in best practices. This is created on. And then you'll see what this adaptive card looks like once it is submitted. Now, after this is completed, so after user completes their action and submits with either with approve or reject outcome, then what also has to be done is we need to record the outcomes. So first, I need to update this row ID to the user to the record that has been created above. I should find this best practice. And then what I'm also storing here is this approval comment. So if user who is approving provides any kind of feedback, then this will be stored here as well. And information about the approver. Now, also the status can be set to approved in this particular case. Then otherwise, if this is rejected, then I need to update these to the rejected status. All right. So with that, this flow seems to be completed. I really keep my fingers crossed it will just work without any further issues. So the next thing that we need to do is to go into Pivotal Agents, which is another element of the Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. And then here again, if we want to use this if we want to use Pivotal Agents internally, so only in Microsoft Teams, not to use this application to face external users or to be embedded on the public website or to, I don't know, be embedded in our SharePoint, for example, then we can use it for free. But then if you want to have it elsewhere, we need to either purchase ourselves a license for Pivotal Agents or even to upgrade this environment so that it is using, again, the regular Dataverse version, not the free one inside Microsoft Teams. And here again, I have my chatbot partially done. The chatbot is in the retail, of course. So I just need to find it. Yep. And then going to edit. Now, if you have any kind of experience with chatbots, with these Pivotal Agents, then you already know what this product works, like how it works, what it requires to work fine. Now, if you don't know yet, then what I can briefly tell you is that topics is one of the most important features or functionalities that is present in Pivotal Agents, because this is the place where the bot is simply being taught how to react on users' input, what are the trigger phrases that user might type into chat window, which bot should recognize and then react accordingly. And so each topic is this set of actions, set of messages that the bot is sending to user and then grabbing user's response or not. And then this is just a conversation that the bot is doing with the user. And then each topic can be a different conversation triggered using different keywords that the user might type into chat window. So this is the most important thing. And then this submit idea topic that I have here created, it is guiding the user through the steps of submitting or describing their idea, this best idea they want to submit, the best practice. And so what is also important around Power Virtual Agents in Microsoft Teams is that it already knows who is the user. So it knows the user ID. This is the Azure ID of the user. And it also knows the user display name. This is why I was able to actually query the user's profile in Power Automate, because I would like to simply put this user ID as one of the input variables into my flow. And then user display name is obviously just this display name, and this way the bot can simply greet a user with their name, which is always nice. And so next, bot is asking how this best practice should be called, then to describe it, and then what category it should be added to. And then lastly, maybe I'll just use this navigator because something with my scroll is not working the way I would like. And so lastly, the bot is asking the user if the data they inputted is correct, and that is fine. If not, then the bot is simply saying, okay, let's try again. And I can see here is this path that is going upwards, and it simply comes into the first question. So the user has to again name it. Now, if user is happy with the outcomes, then it goes into another branch where the bot is saying that, okay, now I will submit this best practice for review. And so here is the place where we need to actually add the Power Automate. Now, adding new actions in Power Virtual Agents is as simple as in Microsoft Flow. So, sorry, as in Power Automate. So you need to find this on the path between actions or under the action. You need to hit this plus button, and then once you hit it, you can see different subset of possible options. But most oftenly, you'll see the ask the question action. So the one that the bot is asking a question to a user and then is grabbing the user's response, either the whole response or just a specific entity from the response. Then the second one is the show a message. So this is that the bot is simply displaying a text and is not waiting for any input from the user. And also call an action. And then here under this call an action, this is where you can create either a new flow, or you can use one of those existing one of these that exists already in that specific environment, which of course are being triggered by the Power Virtual Agents trigger and have these outputs that send data back to Power Virtual Agents. So now I'll use this flow, and now the action that is triggering is working the same way as the manual trigger for the flow. So you're able to define the input values, input data. And so first is the user, where I need to simply put this user ID that will be used later in the Power Automate to query Office 365 users and then get users photo and some additional users detail. Then the title, and then the description, and lastly the category. So it's really easy to merge Power Virtual Agent with the flow, just simple clicks, and that's it. So now I just save it and it's ready to go. Or yeah, it is ready to go. Okay, so now I can just start typing here. So this is just like a preview for my own. This bot is not yet published into any Microsoft team, and it is not yet published into, publicly into Microsoft Teams as an application. Okay, so let's check if this works. So now the bot is asking me to name it. And then let's see, for example, the quality. So now the bot is simply displaying the information I typed in so that I can check them and review and confirm they are fine. So I would say, yes, they are fine. And now what that happens, or what this triggers is that the Power Automate was triggered. And well, because as you remember, there was a parallel branch. Therefore, I immediately received the response that the flow has completed, is completed. And so this action was not waiting any further. It just moved on to the next action. And so now I'll just sign in using Adele Van's account. Okay, yes, I want to stay signed in. And Adele should now just open inside. And Adele already should see these adaptive cards sent by the flow, I think, to her privately. There was this action to send an adaptive card to a user and wait for the response. So once Teams is loaded, then in her private conversation, there should be this card, right? So it seems it worked. So Adele is able to see who submitted this best practice. There is my photo as well, because I grabbed that photo. And there is also information, okay, something went wrong with the title. Possibly it wasn't mapped. Nevertheless, the description is working and the category is working, and it was submitted today, right? Yes, 8th. So now just say approve. And complete it. Okay. And let me just go and show you the last step. So the creation of the Power App. I put it to the, I left it for the end because I'm really poor at creation of fancy-looking Power Apps, and also I didn't want to create it ad hoc. From the scratch. Not wrong. I didn't want to have it created prior to the demonstration. I just wanted to make it now. So I'll now create a new application. And then what you will see here is that the designer for Power Apps inside Microsoft Teams is also nearly the same as it used to be, as it is for the standalone version. Or let's call it this admin, because this is the one that is going to be used by those reviewers, so that they can track all those submitted best practices and then possibly then copy them or somehow reuse them elsewhere. And so here in this best practice, in this application, I can again either create new tables. So right from here, I am able to create a new table, name it, and then using this interface of creating columns, I can simply just do it. Or as it used to be, I can just connect to existing tables that are present in that environment. So now what I want to do is or this could be done even for myself automatically. I want to simply connect all these grids and views with the forms, with the best practices data source. And so, well, there is like an obsolete column called abstract, but apart from that, you can see that this best practice just has been created with the ID 0001, approved by Adele, with these comments and with the status is present here. So now if we create another one, this simply would display, this will be displayed here as another record, and then and again. So the application was created in just minutes. Now it requires, of course, some additional logic and enhancements and some more look and feel changes, but in general, it is done. So now what I can do is I can save it, and I can now publish it to Teams. Like, there are two ways of publishing, of course. So first you can publish it to Team, and then it will be published inside the team where the app is created. You can as well choose a channel where you want to add this application. Right, so I'll just add it to General tab. However, once this is done, and now if I go back into, sorry, here. Now, if I go back into all items in my retail, I can, again, share this application with colleagues. And then sharing this with colleagues allows me to share it with one specific security group. So this way you can share your application with just one additional team. Now, if you'd like to share it with all members in your tenant, then you can't do it this way. You have to go a level deeper into CO, and then once you are in this view, and now you select the application, you're able to export it, or even add it to Teams. Sorry, and then by adding this to Teams, you can actually download this app. And now once you download it, you need to go into admin Teams Microsoft.com. And here in or under the applications, you have to simply upload it so that it will appear under the applications created for Contoso. So now you need to go into Teams Apps. I still have a couple of minutes. Then Manage Apps and upload it in here. Right, so this is the way that Microsoft Teams admin is able to share an application that was created in Dataverse with a whole organization. And done. So now I need just to find this application to show you that this is the application. It's allowed. So now, for example, if Adele would go into all the applications, she should be able already to see this app under build for Contoso. If not, then maybe, yeah, but it's already here, right? So now she would be able to add this application to herself and to simply use it as her own application. It will be simply added to the navigation on the left side. Now, speaking about the Power Virtual Agents, this sharing is a bit different. So if you'd like to share the bot with the team, then you obviously need to go into this bot. So again, switch from Power Apps to Power Virtual Agents. And then there is an option in menu that is called a Publish. So first you need to go into Publish. That's very important because you have to publish the latest content of this virtual agent that you want to share. Otherwise, it would be using like the previous version of the content of topics of everything of the configuration. And now here you can share this bot, and there you have like two options. So first you can share it with the team, just let it to load. So you can share it with your team. It is already shared because it was created previously. So anyone within the team is already able to use this bot, or you can again submit this bot for approval. So here, this experience of submitting the bot to be available for anyone within the organization is much better as in Power Apps. So you need to hit it once, and then second time, and then third time, and then fourth time. And then after the fourth time, when you just complete this process of clicking and confirming again, the app is going to be present here, should be present here. Just refresh it. No refresh option here, no refresh option here. So just refresh the page. And that will show you the application. I mean, this virtual agent as one of those apps that is now, I think it's one of these, but it's already blocked because I just wanted to disable it. So how it is called? Okay, it already exists. That's correct. So if it would not, if it was not present yet in virtual, I mean here, then it will simply appear, but with the status saying that it is submitted, I think, but it's not published. So what the admin should do then is to simply change this publishing status into published, and obviously unblock it so that it is available for anyone within the organization to be used. So then again, if she goes back here and refresh that view, she should as well see, okay, it was already there. So that the bot is also going to be displayed inside that section, so the applications built for Contoso. Okay, and I'm just right on time, I guess. Right, so build for Contoso. Or maybe it just requires some refreshes. Nevertheless, she also sees this application under the build by a colleague. So in the section where she has all these applications, bots, and so on that were created in any of the team, she is a member of. So that are those two sections. Okay. Okay. So I'll just jump back to the presentation. And well, having that said, I wanted to say thank you for spending the last 50 minutes with me and watching the session. And I hope that you found what you were looking for. You found the answers you were having. I mean, the answers to the questions you had. So please share your feedback, both about the event, which is so far really awesome, and about my session. And if you have any questions to me, please post them right now. Or try to find me at any of these social media channels where I'm present at and simply directly ask me these questions. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. It was really, you proved that it works. And this is the hardest part. Anyone can present with a nice PowerPoint, but not everyone can do what you just did, and it actually works. So I think a lot of people found enough reasons to try it themselves. So it's really great that the meeting is recorded, so you can go back and do step by step together with Tomasz. So I have one question, Thomas, for you. How is important to have like a golden applications or like the basics for app creations before starting adoption of this feature in the tool, or it's enough just to say, it's out there, please go and knock yourselves out, or you would suggest from IT to be a little bit, elaborate about that and at least give a basics?
So, I mean, if anyone has already an experience with the Power Platform as it is, I mean, available for years, then this adoption is really seamless. It's just ad hoc because this is just nothing new actually. Just the interface is a bit different. But then if you're just a beginner and you're adopting this for the first time, then I won't advise you to not to try it or to try carefully, because again, there is nothing you can actually destroy. There is nothing you can do that you wouldn't have permissions to do anywhere. I mean, anyhow else. So like directly open a file or whatever. And then with the Power Platform as a tool to create solutions, the very important thing is that you just have to have this inner feeling and a willingness to try to experiment, to learn, to Google for answers, because the most important thing about the Power Platform, if you're trying this for the first time, is that the community behind is really huge and you can find answers immediately. Like whatever issue you are facing, just be sure that there was someone else before who asked the question, and then you can really find the answers either on the social community, I mean on the forums, or via the Twitter or LinkedIn. So like there are people everywhere who are willing to help you. So you're not alone, even if you're just working in a small company and there is no one else apart from you. And just try, experiment, be brave, and don't really be scared that something can go wrong, because you can just delete it and start from scratch. We can hear you. And also the point is that it's much easier if you, for example, speaking about the Power Apps, if you do have some kind of an Excel experience. So if you, for example, know expressions in Excel, if you are using those expressions, because this so-called new PowerFX language is basically nothing new or nothing more complex as the expressions in Excel. And then speaking about the flow, the from my experience, the most important thing that will help you to adopt it faster or use it faster is to have like the general idea of what you want to achieve. So like, what would you like this flow to do? And then knowing this starting point and end point, you can try to simply look for actions or steps or I don't know, conditions, loops, whatever, that will help you to achieve this goal. And also, when speaking about the Power Automate, there are those hundreds of templates that you can start from. So even if you have a very blurry idea of what you want to achieve, but you at least know that, okay, I want to, I don't know, move this attachment from my Outlook to my OneDrive. Then you can simply type in Power Automate these two terms, and then you will have like dozens of templates matching these two keywords, and then you can choose from an existing template, create connections, and well, start using it from right there, like really ad hoc.
Thanks. So, okay, we're messing up a bit right now. So I just wanted to invite everyone to make a selfie in together mode. So please turn on the cameras if you're live. If not, also please turn on the cameras. I'll change the scene to more appropriate one to fit us all. And I'm gonna share the screen. Hey Dwight, nice to see you in together mode. I'm just switching the screen.
You can try to mix it, this echo, you know.
I know, it's like VJing a Teams meeting, in the end of the day, it comes to that. So I'm in the middle, guys, they're covering me, so it's nice. More people, maybe with the cameras. If not, we'll have a nice space walking. Okay, guys, give me your best smiles. Okay, but you close your eyes, open your eyes.
Is it done?
Yes, it's done.
Oh, come on.
We can repeat that, okay, I just gonna, okay, I think it's saved in the clipboard for all the time. I'm gonna print that, Okay, I'll just click another one. So it's really great. Thanks, Thomas, for sharing. It looks so easy. Even I might try it.
It's really not that complex. Just
so the great. So this was
just
yeah.
so just be brave and try to experiment as said. It's even if you try this Dataverse for Teams and then you work with Dataverse as a table, as a data source, then this is even, let's say, safer because you really can't destroy anything. You just create data source for yourself and you can populate with your own data. And then if, as said, anything goes wrong, you just remove it and start from the scratch.
I think this idea of not destroying anything needs to be clear, communicated to the users. Like I usually say, I'm the user which learns by pressing every button there is. And that's one way of learning.
So still pressing any button that is present will simply, let you learn by experience by clicking. It's like building an IKEA furniture without instruction. You have multiple options and ways to do the same, to achieve the same goal. But no, really, it's really safe. And what is important is that even if you use some kind of connections like to SharePoint or to Dataverse or anywhere else, then you won't be able to access anything else that you would be able to access directly. So if by if accidentally you would create a loop in Power Automate that deletes all the files from a library in SharePoint, then well, you would do the same. I mean, you would be able to do the same using just interface in SharePoint. However, well, you're always able to restore the files from recycle bin. So really, really, like, no worries. anything can be undone.
Okay, that's it. So as no questions are coming, maybe producer one has a question, one he was wanting to ask for all day. No, Dwight, no. Have you tried Dataverse? That's a question from my side, as a moderator, like.
And that's the question to me or to others?
It's
No.
to anyone who's with the camera, producer.
Oh,
That Tomasz, you tried. Dwayne, have you tried Dataverse already?
I have not. No. Joe, have we tried Dataverse? I guess I need to let Joe in.
Other than just spinning up a template, not really diving into what did I actually do since I spin up a template and seeing what's under the hood, which definitely got a great view into that now. Definitely have a better understanding of and comfort around going and trying a few more things.
So we have an amazing presentation from Tomasz. It was recorded, so for anyone to look closer, it's there. So thanks, Tomasz, for a nice presentation. And yeah, we're done with today's session.
Thank you, and have a great evening or day.
It's going to be a great evening. Thanks, Tomasz. Thanks.
Thank you for great moderation. Appreciate that.
Keep safe, and I hope that we will be able to soon meet in person at some kind of events.
At least this one, like with the cameras on, it's more socializing rather than just, without them. So I encourage everyone participate with the cameras on to feel more personal. So it's really nice. Okay, thanks again. And if there are any more sessions, please go to Teams Day Online and watch them all.